Hey everybody, how you going? Steve here. Welcome back to Command Centre Wargaming. Alright, so a lot going on today. We're going to have a look at some list doctoring. Well, I call it list doctoring, Hollywood's script doctoring, but I just call it that because it's kind of like script doctoring but with a list for a 40k list. That's a pretty bad joke, but whatever. So, yeah, rolling on into it, I wanted to have a look at some screening with you. So, in specific chaos today, okay, but we're going to have a look at some screening with Ultramarines, with Imperial Guard, all that kind of stuff a little bit later, other Imperial lists. But right now I'm working on a list to counter Genestealer cults, right? So I thought it'd be awesome to come on the channel and basically share some of my findings with you, okay? I was meant to have it this weekend, but some things came up. So we're going to have it either during the week or on next weekend. Now, I am still moving everybody, so I'd like to thank you for your patience. It'll probably take a few weeks before we're back up to full capacity again. But like I'm keeping the videos going, so it's all good. And like I said, I want to basically put quality into the videos, content that will be more useful to the community. So like I will be covering the FAQ, the new one, but it's been covered already a lot. So I thought, well, it's not really that urgent. There's already, 5-6 videos that are basically up there on the FAQ. And I will be covering some of the updates. I know we've got a new Iron Hands, looks like a Servitor or a Tech Priest or something like that. Or Tech Marine, I think it's a Tech Marine, or it could just be a general Iron Hand because they're all sort of like teched up and stuff like that. But like I said, that's already been covered a lot, so I thought, well, look, there's no point coming on the channel talking about the same thing again. So what can I bring to the community that'll be of more value? And I think that sharing some of my lists that I put together with you would be pretty awesome. So you've noticed that this channel's gone a little bit more tactical over the last few weeks, and that's just because I found that there are very good channels out there like D6 and things like that on tactical videos. I know Commissar Gams, I put some of that into his videos as well. I just felt that I often come up with things that I don't often find mentioned in the community. Maybe they are, maybe someone else comes up to them with them, I don't know. But oftentimes I find that I usually make some, formulas up on my own. So it's cool to share those with you, and I thought that'd be awesome. So I'm just going to take a drink from my not so Astartes cup. That's all good. You can chem geld me later. Any hardcore brothers out there know what a chem geld is? Maybe. No, actually, don't write that in the comments because I don't want swearing in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, brothers and sisters. But yeah. So anyway, so I got my Dexers with me. I've been working very hard. Game versus Genestealer cults will be against Matty again. Very, very good player, very good lists, and he knows what he's doing. I've never played with Genestealer cults before, and I've never actually played against Genestealer cults. Now, I own an army of Genestealer cults, but, I know about the rules, I've got the gist of them, I know what they do, I know their strengths and weaknesses, I know that they're a glass cannon, all that kind of stuff like that, but I also know that they're very hard hitters, and you have to deal with those guys. And they're going to come at you turn one and stuff will die. So what we're going to talk about in this video, we're going to have a little bit of a look at how to screen out your forces. Now, again, this will be a chaos orientated video, even though I'm primarily Imperial. So if you are an Imperial player, please subscribe to the channel, if you like it, because we do a lot of Imperial. It's just I'm on this kind of chaos, tangent right now. But that's cool too, because there aren't that many channels that do chaos stuff as much. It's usually just Primaris, Ultramarine, Primaris. So yeah. But anyway, because I'm really loving my Red Corsairs. I'm loving that stratagem, which is the equivalent to the Tide of the Traders. I think it's in numbers they come or something like that, for the 3 command points where you could bring them back on the table again and again and again. And I love my Alpha Legion. Some of you might have seen my finished squad of Alpha Legion that I've just put up on the channel. Check the last video on the channel for that. Should be right there. We had some really, really epic feedback from the community. Some of the comments I got, from Reddit, well, on Facebook as well. I shared it around a few Facebook groups. A lot of people were saying that some of the best Alpha Legion that they've seen. So I'm very humbled and thank you very much for that. Also Instagram, I haven't checked it now, but last time I checked, Like there was 2 of those pictures. They got like over 800 likes. I've only got like 100 Instagram followers. So it's certainly got out there somehow. But yeah, and I had some people ask me about the about my Alpha Legion formula and how to do it and stuff like that. So what I'll do, we're about to hit 1,000 subscribers, right? We're at the time of recording this video, we're at 929-ish, something like that. Special thanks to Only Adonis, who's been out there at his ICT event over in Texas. Check it out, you know, and for helping to promote the channel a little bit, like he always does. So he's really helping the channel out by doing that. Thank you. And he's, you know, because as I said, there hasn't been a video for a couple of days, so, but we've still been getting subscribers. So welcome all the new subscribers, and I hope you're enjoying Adonis's event over there in Texas. He's definitely one of the Primarchs here on the channel, if not the Horus Primarch, but we'll have to see about that. Hopefully there's no heresy. I've been detecting some alarming comments from Adonis lately. I've got my eye on him, but, you know, we'll talk about that. So yeah, so talking about Chaos, go back to Chaos now. How do we screen units? What's the point of screening? How do we screen units? Why should you do it? Why should you care? A lot of you might know in Imperial armies, you could basically do it by fielding Imperial Guard, alright? You get the Loyal 32, which is 3 of the infantry squads, 3 captains, alright? You put them out in front, you push them out like as far as you can go, alright, to create this area denial system around your main force. Now, that kind of works with other armies because it stops them from getting in. But with Gene Stealer Cults, you really need to put the screen on steroids. Now, I have determined via calculations that a good chunk of your army, like I reckon maybe 500-600 points of your army, and I know that sounds a lot, should be placed towards your screen. All right. Now I know that sounds crazy, and I'm not saying that you would ever do this like you know, against any other army, but heavy first turn armies like Tyranids, Gene Stealer Cults, you know, stuff like that, demons, okay, stuff like that. You really got to have your screens up, all right, and you need to push it. You need to be ready, because if you don't go first, especially with Gene Stealer Cults, like I said, I've done a lot of research, and if you don't go first with Gene Stealer Cults and you don't have a tight screen, you are dead. That's it. It's game over. Their glass cannons, when they hit, you know, like they're gonna hit, you know, they're gonna hit you like a truck. They're gonna hit you like a Mack truck with a sledgehammer, with a thunder hammer on the top, with a friggin' like batarang or boomerang or whatever it is, you know, like, you know, they're gonna crush you with a death roller, right? That's it. Gene Stealers are gonna come at you at a deep strike with the blips 9. There's gonna be packs of them. They're gonna take more than 10, because if they take more than 10, they get an extra attack. It's crazy. They're gonna get like 4 freaking attacks each. They got a 5-up invul. So whatever you put up there, the Gene Stealers are going to shred, right? It's gonna die. So you don't want to go up there even putting Chaos Space Marines up the front, because you don't want to lose them. And even with flamers, now that's the first thing I want to mention. The first thing that you should do to screen against things like Gene Stealer Cults, put flamers wherever you can, right? Heavy weapons, so for example with Cultists, if you're going to take a squad of Cultists, for every 10 of them, you can give them a flamer, all right? Whether it's a flamer itself, or you could give them like a combi flamer, or whatever it is you could give them. Find ways to give them flamers, everybody, all right? Whatever squad it is. Don't go too overboard with it, because you don't want to kit your squads out to be like, you know, have 3 flamers in it, and they all just get alpha struck on the first turn. The Gene Stealers come in, the Tyranids come in, or whatever it is you're fighting up against, and they just all die, and you're losing points unnecessarily. You have to be very tactical about it, but first rule, have your flamers in there. So flamers and chaff, okay, and support, all right? You got to make sure that you've got a counter army ready to come in there, like Terminators or whatever it is, something that can come in there with chain axes, right? Because Gene Stealer Cults, they are glass cannons. They'll hit you like a truck, right? but they basically will fold like a tent. All right, so they will die to bolt of fire very easily. Okay, you don't need an AP really to start dropping them, even though they do have a 5 up, but volume of shots should do it. If you put like 5 Terminators into a squad of them, you know, that's, you know, like a fair few shots, all right, 4 shots each from each combi bolter. Chances are something's going to drop. Okay, you're going to kill a few of them. You might, yeah, or you might whittle them down to a point where they're manageable. All right. Thing is, everybody, like when you look at a Gene Stealer Cults, if you get struck by a Gene Stealer rush, which you most likely will be because it is the thing, it's like taking a knight with Imperial Guard list. It's like even with the nerf, it's like Smash Captain. It's just like it's a standard thing with Gene Stealer Cults, right? Basically, there's 2 ways of Gene Stealer Cults that things you're going to see done. There's basically the Gene Stealer Cults with Tyranids, all right, which is actually more brutal. Okay, hence the whole Gene Stealer spam, right? And then there's also sort of like what I like to call the Gene Stealer Cults with Imperial Guard light list, right? Now what that means is it's basically Gene Stealer Cults reskinned as, you know, from Imperial Guard, kind of like Renegades. You might see like a couple of Lehman Russes here and there, okay? But they're not the big deal. You are not going to be able to survive to get those Lehman Russes down, right? Unless you survive a first turn charge. So it's kind of like that. It's that whole apocalypse thing, all right? Your whole agenda should be survival, all right? Weather that charge, and then that army will go down like matchsticks, okay? You don't need much either. So that's what I'm saying. I would rather put a little bit extra sort of points, emphasis into my screen, because that way, if I know I can weather it, then he's mine, then he's yours. You're only going to need, like, you won't need any more than 1,000 points even probably 800 points to finish him off. Just keep an eye out for those patriarchs, right, or matriarchs, whatever they call them, and the abominants, okay, the big dudes, because they have a lot of excellent psychics, some of the best psychic in the game actually, stuff like mind control, stuff like that, but luckily that'll only go off, you know, at a 12 range. Make sure you have a couple of psychers around, okay? This list has a psyker even, right, which it's not really a list, it's more like a detachment kind of thing, a symbiote, right, that you can add to your unit. But this list has got a psyker so that you can have a little bit of psychic defense. So if he decides to get crazy, you can defend against that, all right? So, yeah. So this list is essentially, it's not an army. It's basically a detachment. It's a suggestion detachment, which you can run. Now, you can switch this detachment up any way you want, okay? You can run this detachment. You can switch the cultists out with Black Legion cultists. You can have Abbott on there for rerolls on cultists and things like that. If you want, you can have Alpha Legion cultists. You could do all sorts of stuff. You could have, like, you know, Marines rocking out in the backfield. You could have a few Havocs for support, or even a squad of Berserkers, which I've left out of it, to come in and join the assaults when your screen is engaged, which is a very good supplementary idea. All right, I'm not going to go into detail with points listings and stuff in this video. I'm just going to talk about the overall tactics, okay? I might go through the data sheets, but like I said, it's more of just an overview, okay? I'm just sharing my ideas with you, which is half the battle. G.I. Joe said that. Got that from there's an epic channel called the Primarchs. It's awesome. Check it out. One of my favorite channels. One of the inspirations I had for creating this channel, actually. That guy's hardcore. Watch all his videos. Check it out. It's a really good competitive player from Canada. I can't remember his name now, but yeah, channel's called the Primarchs. Love it. So basically, yeah. Now the detachment, what it is at the core. Let me just have a look here quickly through the books. We might come back to the Berserkers as a bonus. I got my Vigilance book here just in case as well. But for now, let's just talk about Death Guard, right? We're going to talk about a Death Guard detachment. Now, there are a few reasons why I would choose when talking about specifically screening with Death Guard, okay, especially against Gene Stealer cults. Now, the first number one thing is, you guessed it, disgustingly resilient, okay? It is essentially a feel no pain right? So you're going to get a 5 up, ignore wounds, a 5 up, feel no pain on all these units. So already you've sort of got like, I don't know, excuse the math, but you've probably got a 33% chance here, all right, to fend off any damage. That's without casting, that's without doing anything like that. But there are a few little combos here with the screens, okay, that are paramount with Death Guard. Now I'm also going to go reference the Forge World book as well, the Chaos Forge World book, because there's actually a sorcerer in the Chaos Forge World book, right? I think he's called the Naphisium or something like that, or the Necrosis or something. I forgot to bring the book here with me, but he's in there, all right? You can look him up. He's essentially just a sorcerer. You can use him instead of just a normal sorcerer, but I've decided to keep Forge World out of it because I had a research into it. A lot of people are using him in the Forge World book. Have a look at him, but I've decided not to because this is more of a simple list, right? I wanted to build something around sort of Citadel stuff. So I wanted something that people could sort of put together with stuff they already had at short notice and not have to go through and do like a Forge World order and things like that. But just keep in mind that this Necroticus or Necrosis guy, he's a sorcerer, he's in the Forge World book, he's in there, check him out, you can have a look, right? So the other thing is because he works with a rule called the Tainted. Now apparently he's also able to buff Poxwalkers with that. But when I look in the book here, I can't actually see that Poxwalkers have that tainted keyword. Now that might have been FAQ'd, I don't know. But essentially what he does, he's meant to give you +1 a hit on top of everything else. Now I think he might have the Nurgle keyword and stuff like that. That's why you can kind of use him. But check him out. He's a really good unit, you know, if you don't want to use the normal sorcerer. Alright, so just check that out. But we'll work with more mainstream Citadel units. So the idea is you want to use Cultists, right? Chaos Cultists. Now, I've chosen the Death Guard ones just to keep them in the same detachment, right? And to keep the synergy. Alright, now, but you can use any Cultists that you want. Like I said before, Black Legion, Alpha Legion, whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But it does work a little bit better with these Cultists, and you'll see why soon. And because they're very cheap, they're 5 points a model, okay? And then we have the Poxwalkers, right? And then we're going to use 2 other units. We're going to use Typhus, Lord of Corrosion. Alright, Typhus, Lord of Corrosion. And then we're just going to use a sorcerer, right? We're going to use a standard sorcerer. Now again, this sorcerer can be from the Forge World book, okay, whatever his name is, the CrossFit. Let me know in the comments, guys. I was reading it before. I forgot the name, I'm sorry, okay? But now, so Typhus is pretty expensive. Alright, I checked chapter approved. I didn't see his points came down. But Typhus comes in at 175 points. Now that includes war gear though. Now remember, I know what you might be saying, but Steve, all this for a screen? The answer is yes, and you will see why shortly. You will see why I'm saying this shortly, okay? And then we've just got a normal sorcerer. They're going to come in at 90 points, but then you've got to add the Force Stave. So let's have a look here. Yeah, Force Sword or Force Stave or whatever it is. Force Stave is 8 points, so let's just roll with that. So I'm going to say 98 points, right, with 100%. So you're already at like, 275 points-ish, all right? But the good thing about it is the rest of it's going to be pretty cheap. So the next 300 points you want to sort of put towards your screens. But however, guys and girls, this is worth it. And there is a combo here, there is a Symbios, okay, that not everybody knows about, all right? And that's going to be the awesome thing. Everybody knows about Poxwalkers. Everybody knows about, Cultists, right? It's nothing new there. But I'm going to show you some combos how to get these guys off, okay? How to get maximum results out of it. So it's pretty good. All right. So the idea is you need to make sure you put your Cultists up the front, right? Put them like, say you got your deployment zone. Put your Cultists right on the edge of your deployment zone, okay? Right on the edge. Now, what you want to do, you want to put your next level, which is your poxwalkers, right, just behind your cultists, like right behind them, right behind it in a line. And what you want to try to do, I would try to take you can take 3 squads of 10 if you want, or you can take 3 squads of 20, right? But that's going to get pretty expensive. You're looking at about 300 points just for the cultists then. So try to maybe just go for 10, see what happens. Give them all a flamer, right, or a hand flamer, whatever you can give them, all right? And then go through and then put the poxwalkers right behind them. Now, there's a reason for this. And now what I want you to do, I want you to get the rest of the army, and I want you to put it back as far as you can, right? Now the reason is, maybe not as far as you can, but maybe 6 away, right? And the reason is because what you must make sure that you do with your screen is you need to make sure that you leave some space, not space so they can get in, make sure there's no gaps around your perimeter, all right? Run some test games on this. But you need to make sure that you've got room so that when the gene stealers come, or when whatever assaulting you is going to come, and it's going to be like, Billy, come, I'm here, and the predator with the log, you know, they're going to come, and you're going to make sure that you can leave yourself space to fall back, right? Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, but Steve, why the heck would I do that, buddy? Like, I want them engaged in combat, okay? And all that kind of stuff. Like, yes, you can. Like, if you've got if you've still got cultists there left, right? As long as you can get your second wave in, which is your poxwalkers, then for sure, don't retreat them, right? March them in. But if your squad's dead anyway, let's say you got like 3 cultists left, right? Even with brutal assault weapons, you're going to be doing nothing. It's like, yeah, they got 2 attacks, but you might kill 1 or 2 G sealers if you're lucky. All right, they still got a 5-up invul. Those things are going to be toast, and then they're going to like march right through. So, what that means is when you retreat, when you retreat your units, it means that unit is now not in combat. Like the enemy unit is not in combat, so it means that you can now fire on it, right? And that's when you bring in your Terminators or Storm Bolters or your Roto Cannons or whatever it is. You go brrr, and you just mac that jungle and just like chop the trees down and you just rip it apart, okay? So the idea is like the gene stealers will come into you, right? They'll probably even kill off your whole unit. If not good, there's a space there. They could probably consolidate up a bit, but that's then their first turn, right? So then you want to get your poxwalkers to come in and smack them and meet them there. All right, so that's kind of the idea. So when you deploy your screen, just make sure you leave a little bit of a space there, but do not leave 9. Do never leave 9. Check your perimeters, check those corners, because that was Gorman, basic or opponent. I can't remember now. One of them. So check those corners, check the perimeter. Never leave gaps of 9, and the reason is because if you do that, that's going to leave them a window to deep strike in. All right, so now that you've got that all set up, we're going to have a look at the synergy of these units, right? So the cultists are basically, they're 5 points each. I'll leave it up to you, it's up to you really, it's up to you, like totally what you do, but I won't go through their stats too much. But, essentially they got 1 wound, they got a 6-up save, that can be improved with a spell, right? So you can give them a 5-up invul with that. Okay, you can cast that with your sorcerer, and that's why we take him, to be able to do that kind of stuff. All right, I'll just flick through the book back here. Just give me a second. So you've got the Rotting Constitution as well. All right, so wait, that's a warlord trait. What am I doing? I'm going a bit silly. Hang on a second. Where are those contagion discipline? Okay, here we go. So let's have a look here. Well, they got a 5-up invul anyway, so they don't really need it. They don't really need it. But what you can do, you can do a few things with them, like add Putrescent Vitality, which is something we might want to do. Okay, so this is Putrescent Vitality, has a warp charge of 6 if manufactured. Select a visible friendly Death Guard infantry unit within 18 of the Psyker until the start of your next psychic phase as one of that unit's strength and toughness characteristics. So that's actually what we want to be using the Sorcerer for. I'm thinking in the lines of Chaos Cultists, but oh wait, no, because Chaos Cultists don't have a 5-up feel no pain, right? So they don't have a invol. So you'd have to buff them with that. But I wouldn't bother. Seriously, guys, I wouldn't bother. They're 6 up. Don't bother with it. Just buff up your Poxwalkers. And the reason why is because what you're able to do, you sort of want your Cultists to absorb the fire and die. And the reason is because what happens is you use a stratagem, right, which then resurrects them as Poxwalkers. Yeah? Pretty sick, eh? Alright, so that's a pretty good tactic there. And the stratagem you want to use to do that, let me read it out to you, is called the Dead Walk Again. Alright? So the Dead Walk Again, for 1 command point, you can basically use this on the Poxwalkers, right? Use a stratagem at the beginning of your movement phase. Just remember to put it on in your movement phase. Don't forget about it. Select a unit of Poxwalkers until the start of your next movement phase. Replace the unit's Curse of the Walking Pox ability with the following. Each time an infantry model other than a Poxwalker, friend or foe, is slain within 7 of this unit, add 1 model to the unit. So you're going to have 20... Essentially what's going to happen is... Now remember, Poxwalkers are more expensive than Cultists. So essentially what's going to happen is that you are going to have a line of Cultists there. You're going to have 20 Cultists, maybe 40 Cultists, 60 Cultists. With that stratagem, 1 command point, there's no rolling for it, it just happens. As long as they're within 7, every time one of those Gene Stealers kills one of your Cultists, you're going to add a Poxwalker to your army. You're going to be adding 6 points to your army, which is then the screen you're going to come right back at them. And if you take the Cultists as another detachment, what you can do, I don't want to spill my coffee, just pretend that's the Chaos Space Marine Codex. You can use Tide of the Traders and get that Cultist squad back. So say you've got 200, say you've got 40 Cultists, and the Gene Stealer cult guy is like, oh, I'm slick, you know, friggin', you know, the Fonz, you know, he's like slicking his hair back, he's like, mate, you're gone, I've got like, you know, 50 Gene Stealers, I'm going to smash through your Cultists and all this kind of stuff, right? Say he does that, okay, no worries, champ, Tide of Traders, all my Cultists just come back on, and they'll be within range somewhere, because you'll still be in the deployment zone. Hopefully he just doesn't destroy them all, because I think if he destroys them all, they can't come back. Now, just so you know, remember, you can only use a stratagem Tide of Traders once per game. But then you're going to have another 60 Poxwalkers lined up for free. And any time, remember everybody, any time you can add 3 points to your army is super powerful. Because what it means is you're turning your list into something like from 2,000 points into something like 2,300, even 2,400 points, depending on how much you invest in this, right? So that's powerful. That means not only have you weathered his assault, but you now have like add another quarter of army to your list, right? That is huge. That is huge. That is another quarter. So it means that 500 points, 600 points that you've spent, you're now getting back, all right? So that's the philosophy here, all right? That's the philosophy. Now, so that Poxwalker thing, that works with everyone. But remember, it has to be within 7, right? It has to be within 7 of the infantry unit. Check out the stratagem in there, okay? Now, what we're also going to do, so you got Poxwalkers that are there now, right? Now, they're only strength 3, toughness 3. They're weapon skill 5, but what we want to do, they're disgustingly resilient, so they're going to get a 5-up, feel no pain. They're mindless. Why are these guys so good, you ask? Well, because they're also mindless. They do not suffer from morale. So unlike Cultists, where they're going to suffer from morale, Poxwalk. Sorry about that, guys. Just had to change the card. So yeah, Poxwalkers don't have morale, right? So the thing is that you can have 60 of those guys. You will never. He could kill 20. He can kill 30, and there is never any morale, right? So hang on a minute. Does it say on there other than Poxwalkers? Because I'm thinking like if he actually kills Poxwalkers, maybe they could come back. I don't think that's the case because that would be super OP. But let me read that again. Remember, say select a unit of Poxwalkers. Okay, yeah. So until the start of your next middle phase, place that unit's Curse of the Walking Pox ability with the following: each time an infantry model other than a Poxwalker. Okay, so you can't just keep buffing that unit. So Cultists, whatever, could be Space Marines, whatever. And it does say friend or foe. All right, so just so you know that. But anyway, so you got a weapon skill is 5. Now that's pretty crappy. Okay, however, you can use your sorcerer to cast Prescience on him, which will allow him to hit on a 4, right? So, and that's why I say like take a sorcerer as well. So, and hitting on a 4 isn't bad, right? That's not too bad. You can increase that if that sorcerer if the sorcerer is from the Forge World book, all right? Because that will increase your hit to a +1, I think. Got to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it will. Okay, then you're hitting on 3s of them. Alright. And they've got no morale. They're toughness 3, but remember, you've buffed them up with the other spell, right? Which is also giving them a +1 to toughness, +1 to strength. So that's now 4, toughness 4, strength 4. And then this is where you're going to use Typhus. So Typhus is going to come in, and forget about Typhus's stats for now. I will read them out, but the main thing here is this thing here. So, Host of the Destroyer Hive. Friendly units of the Poxwalkers increase their strength and toughness by 1 whilst they are in 7 of Typhus, right? So that means they're going up to strength and toughness 5. Strength and toughness 5. Alright, that's pretty tough. That's tougher than a Terminator. And they're not getting morale. See where I'm going here with this? You got a strength 5, toughness 5, piece of chaff. You could have a whole war. You got 60 of these guys up front, right? Who are literally there, coming back. You're adding to them. You may start with 30, 60 of your cultists will die. Oh, okay, now I've got 90 Poxwalkers. Good luck, that's 90 wounds, people. I don't care how many Gene Stealers you have. Unless he's got a whole army of Gene Stealers, Jake getting through that, okay? And now, but there's still more. There's still more. So, Typhus himself, he has a 4-up invul. He has to halve his movement though, for advances, but who cares? He's not going to advance anyway. Guys, when Gene Stealer Colts are going to come to you, right? They're going to come to you. You're not going to go to them. If you go to them, like this, maybe some circumstances, maybe if it's an objective game and that, you might have to do it. But guys and girls, I just want to say, my tip is to you, keep your units together, right? Keep your units together. Create a ball, because you got to create like a castle. You got to create like a wall, because this Gene Stealer Colt, it's like Ivan Drago from Rocky 4. What he hits, he destroys. What they hit, he destroys. They're going to come in there and they're going to wipe whatever it is they touch. So you got to make sure that if they are still wiping stuff out, that is just chaff, all right? Cool. So, yeah. And keep them away too. The other reason to keep them like 12 up or 9 up or as far as away as you can from your list, if you do get first turn, move them up straight away, is to stop mind control. That means that if he does use mind control from the Patriarch or whatever it is, I hope I'm saying that right. I hope it's Patriarch, not Matriarch, whatever. But if he does use that, he can only use it on your chaff because he's not within range of 12 of any of your other stuff. For example, if you have a Mortarian or whatever, or a massive unit, you don't want him taking control of any of that, or even a squad of Terminators, guys. Even for 1 turn, that could stuff you so bad. Or even a unit of chaff, I mean, you can still pick him up, you can probably move him away or whatever, but it's not so bad because he's still far away, you know what I mean? So, you know, it gives you a fighting chance. By the way, just quickly, to digress just quickly, I just want to share something with you. There's a unit in the Genestealer Cults Codex called the Killamoth. I just noticed that name is very similar to a character from a 90s cartoon called Toxic Crusaders, which is actually a cartoon based off Toxic Avenger, which is from the 80s, which is from Troma Comics or Tromaville or whatever film. And the enemy in that, who's actually an alien cockroach from some planet, sort of like an alien, he's got like 6 arms, six legs. Look it up on Google, guys, you'll see. His name's Dr. Killamoth, right? So I reckon this is another Games Workshop sort of, you know, Easter egg. I don't know, I haven't heard anyone pick up on that yet. Look up Dr. Killamoth, Toxic Crusaders, and you'll see what I mean. And he kind of looks like a Genestealer, actually. So it's a pretty nice Easter egg. I didn't know that anyone picked up on that yet. But I'm a bit of a sci-fi nerd. But anyway, so back to the the list building. So now there's another thing Typhus could do. He could teleport as well, but why would you do that? You want your screen up there in the front now. The other thing that he could do as well, so he's got Nurgle's Gift, right? Now Nurgle's Gift, this is where you kind of get the advantage of having your cultists as Death Guard, because it's harder to give them an invul, but you already got to feel no pain, screw it, and you kind of want those guys to die, because that means that you could basically rebuff them, you could bring them back as Poxwalkers anyway, and Poxwalkers with all these buffs are going to be a lot harder to kill. So, Nurgle's Gift, what it means is, all Death Guard units within 7 of the Friendly Lord of Contagion are surrounded by, in other words, Typhus. Typhus is a Lord of Contagion. He's got the keyword. Are surrounded by a deadly aura of plague and disease. Roll a dice for each enemy unit. Now that is dead enemy unit. It doesn't say enemy model, right? Don't get confused with that one. One of my opponents was really upset with me once when Dark Imperium first came out, the new rules first came out and everything. I got all excited. I thought it was like, I misread it. It said like make a roll for every model. I thought that's what it said, didn't it? It's every unit. So I was like making like a roll for like every single, yeah. So don't do that. That's something to keep out for. It's every unit. So every force, like, you know, 10 Space Marines or whatever. Roll a 7 of a Friendly Lord of Contagion are surrounded by a deadly aura of plague and disease. Roll a dice for each enemy unit that is within 1 of any affected friendly units at the start of your turn. On a 4 up, the enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. Now, that's why I'm saying that, like, it could be awesome to keep the cultists as Death Guard, because what it means is that because they share the same keywords, those cultists are now basically considered to be, you know, emanating that Nurgle's Gift, right? So if you didn't, it would just be the Poxwalkers, and if you put the Poxwalkers really tight behind the cultists, you'll probably still be able to just get them in. But just to be sure, imagine that. So you've got like your cultists, right, that are all in one, and even if there's 1 unit left, that unit of Genestealer cults or whatever he's charged with is going to take a mortal wound. And it's only 1. I know it's only 1, but that's 4 less attacks that you're going to be dealing with. And I think it's a pretty sweet bonus. Not to mention Typhus himself, he's no slouch. I'm going to read you out his stats, okay, before we wrap this up quickly. Now, he's moving 4, who cares? Weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, so he's got that hitting. Now, he's not re-rolling any 1s here. You could add just another Chaos Lord to this to give re-rolls of 1 if you wanted to spend the points, but I don't know if I would. Alright, this force is expendable. This force is meant to die, so you're going to bring it back on. And I reckon nah, don't save Typhus for last, because you need as much damage as you can. So, judge the situation. Maybe save him for last, it depends. So, he's coming as strength 4, right? He's coming in, just want to see just quickly. It says all friendly units, so I wonder if that's him. Is he a friendly unit of himself? I guess that's it doesn't have the keyword. You could probably say he goes up 1 in strength of toughness, but probably not because there's no keyword. It does say friendly unit, which means not him. So yeah. But anyway, strength 4, toughness 5. You could choose to buff him though instead of the Poxwalkers. I wouldn't know. He's got 4 attacks. He's 2-up save. His leadership's 9. He's armed with the Man Reaper, a Destroyer Hive pistol, Blight grenades. Only 1 can be taken off him. Now, his Destroyer Hive pistol is range 6, pistol 2d6. So that's a fair few shots. That's potentially 12 shots coming from him, right? So again, if you like, say you got like only 2 Cultists left and you run them out, you know, what would you rather? Would you rather 4 hits from a Cultist, or to a Cultist, or would you rather, you know, 12, a possibility of 12 strength 4 AP minus 3, 1 damage, you know, shots. Now remember, Tyranids, they do have a save. They've got a 5-up. But the really good thing is here is that this weapon always hits on a 5, even when firing Overwatch, regardless of a modifier. So Overwatch is important, like I told you about Flamers. That's to defend against incoming assaults, right? Because you use those auto hit weapons. You don't have to hit 6s, but this doesn't auto hit, but it does hit on a 5. So essentially, you're Overwatching on fire. Then you got grenades, okay, which is standard, but we got Mastercraft and Man Reaper. So his strength plus 3, so that strength becomes plus 4, 5, 6, 7. So strength 7 minus AP 3, 3 damage a pop, and it's a plague weapon, right? So now the 3 damage a pop is kind of wasted on chaff for Gene Stealers, but I just want to recheck the plague weapon rule just quickly, because I think it was mortal wounds on a 6. But don't quote me on that just yet. I'm just going to go through, just get that going. Because I do have a Death Guard army. But I've only played it a couple of times. So let's have a look. Page 68. Plague weapons. Oh no, you can re-roll wound rolls of a 1 for a weapon with this ability. So that's okay. That's actually probably better for you, because you're re-rolling to wound. Not that you would need it, because you're already smashing Gene Stealers apart. You'd be hitting them, oh yeah, but see, you'd be hitting on 3s though, because from what I remember, they were toughness 4. I could be wrong, but I think they were toughness 4. So yours is going to be strength 7. So yeah, that means you're like equal to or more than their toughness. So that means you'd be hitting them on 3s. You need to be double their toughness to be hitting you. So you're 1 off. So if you were to cast that +1 strength of toughness on Mr. Typhus, then you'd be wounding on 2s. But I think you're better off going for more volume for shots, to be honest, in your Poxwalker line, right? That's pretty good. He's got Disgusting Resilient, and he's got the Death to the False Emperor, which will mean it's exploding 6s. Anything in melee that attacks an Imperial unit basically will get an exploding 6. Will get an extra attack, but that attack cannot create additional attacks. Against Gene Stealer Colts, I don't think even the Imperial Guard side has Imperium keywords. I'll have to double check that. Let me know on the channel. But nonetheless, I'm pretty sure that Gene Stealers are going to be what you want to protect against anyway. So yeah, let's see how we go. We won't get into that, but it's there. So yeah, and that's pretty much Mr. Typhus. And that's your core screen. That's your core strategy to screen, right? So any rush armies, Tyranids, Gene Stealer Colts, you know, demons, that kind of stuff. Create your screen. Cultists up the front, leave no gaps. Poxwalkers right behind. Typhus behind him. Sorcerer as well with him. Alright, a little bit away. Okay, make sure you keep a gap between them and your main force, whatever it is. Whatever it is. Could be Alpha Legion, could even be more Death Guard. But you want to be able to get, you know, distance for your guys to retreat. Maybe even, and plus, so you could even like just have them maybe 2 or 3 inches back, but you know, why give them more room? So I reckon just try to keep them as far back as you can. as long as you're within bolter range, right? Because you want to see you pick them off. As long as you can, when your cultists die or become poxwalkers or whatever it is, and you can get in there to shoot before you charge your next lot in, before you charge your poxwalkers in, that's what you want, right? So the cults are there. Then you've got your poxwalkers in the back line. Typhus is there, providing his buffs of strength +1, toughness +1. The sorcerer there, or the guy from the Forgery book, he's there providing +1 to hit, or casting that spell on him to give him +1 toughness, +1 strength to the poxwalkers. So they're now strength 5, toughness 5. Okay, they ain't got morale. He comes in, he starts killing, assuming he's going first. If you're going first, well then you just start walking people up the board. Just make sure you keep your screen up, right? But walk towards him because it's gonna give you more board control. Okay, you don't want to. You can castle up, but the problem is if it's an objective game, then you're gonna lose territory. So you want real estate, guys. You want real estate because the more real estate, but just don't leave a backfield opening. All right, make sure you screen out. So and then he will attack. Whether he kills your squad, who gives a crap? Hopefully some of his gene stealers will die in Overwatch from the flamers, from the cultists. Maybe you might be able to kill a few with them. Who cares? As he's doing that, you've casted the stratagem, the Dead Walk again. So that means every single cultist that dies comes back on the board for free as a 6-point poxwalker, and you literally, that line just comes back. Then you use the Tide of the Traitors stratagem, comes up, cultists come back as well. Okay, what you do when they come back, you don't mess around. You just charge them in. Charge them in because I know they're going to get they're really weak versus gene stealers, but even like with their assault weapons on a base 0, standard strength, just 1 damage, 0 AP. You got 40 of those guys. You're doing 80 wounds. All right. You're doing 80 wounds, and remember, you can always use Veterans of the Long War on these guys, okay? Because they're infantry. Remember Veterans of the Long War, okay? So on your return, don't use it the first time, I don't reckon. Maybe if he's silly and he doesn't get into charge range, but even still, I don't think I'd waste it. Save it for some Terminators. What you should do, up the back, you should either, now this is going to cost you more points. You have a think about this. You think about if it's a viability or not. Okay, 2 things you could do. 2 things I would do. I would have a tertiary line of Terminators, even 5, just Storm Bolters, ready to spray and pray him with bolter shots. Okay, don't worry about AP or anything. You don't need them. You just want Gene Stealers will splat everywhere to bolt fire. Okay, and you just have them in the background just to finish them off, just to get any stragglers or to make the difference. In addition, the other thing you could do, you could have a squad of berserkers up the back there with the Khorne keyword, maybe Alpha Legion, so they're +1 to hit, so in case he tries to start shooting at him, he can't. And that ready to charge in and help to clear out his units, so assist your units up the front line. So layers of screen, guys, layers of screen. Alright, that was meant to be a 20-minute video or a 15-minute video. It's now probably an hour video, I don't know, maybe 45, 50 minutes. I'll leave it there, everybody. I'll see you in the next one. Steve, Command Centre Wargaming. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe. Alright, everybody, I'll catch you in the next video. Keep rolling.